the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Know that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling.
Lights, camera, live in action. E-cam's the key to your satisfaction. Lower thirds, overlays, getting traction. You post, they engage, it's a chain reaction. Lights, camera, live in action. E-cam's the key to your satisfaction. Lower thirds, overlays, getting traction. You post, they engage, it's a chain reaction. Step into the world where your vision's unfurled. E-cam live's on the scene, let your story be heard. Drag, drop, connect, a tech symphony. Broadcasting live in high quality. Multicam magic, switch it on the go. From your Mac to the world, let your visual show. Overlay graphic scene, switching slick. With Ecamm Live, no editing, and that's the trick. Lights, camera, live in action. Ecamm's the key to your satisfaction. Lower thirds, overlays, getting traction. You post, they engage, it's a chain reaction. Lights, camera, live in action. Ecamm's the key to your satisfaction. Lower thirds, overlays, getting traction. You post, they engage, it's a chain reaction. Dial in your sound, make it crisp and clear. Mic check 1, 2, let the audience hear. Interviewing guests from near and far, from local to global, you're a streaming star. Green screen effects, transport your space, custom backgrounds, hide your digital place. Stream to YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook Live. Ecamm's versatility, man, it helps you thrive. Lights, camera, live in action. Ecamm's the key to your satisfaction. Lower thirds, overlays, getting traction. You post, they engage, it's a chain reaction. Lights, camera, live in action. Ecamm's the key to your satisfaction. Lower thirds, overlays, getting traction. You post, they engage, it's a chain reaction. Analytics in view, see your message spread. Comments on the screen, every word can be read. Record, repurpose with ridiculous ease. Clip for social media, spread your message like a breeze. No heavy edits, save your precious time. Ecamm Live, the rhythm to creators rhyme. From hobbyists to pros, it's a tool to choose. Ecamm Live, the platform where you never lose. Lights, camera, live in action. Ecamm's the key to your satisfaction. Lower thirds, overlays, getting traction. You post, they engage, it's a chain reaction. Lights, camera, live in action. Ecamm's the key to your satisfaction. Lower thirds, overlays, getting traction. You post, they engage, it's a chain reaction.
Here we go. Yes, we are live today, and we have our special guest that's going to be coming to us. And I'm actually checking a few things here, and I've been trying out some new systems and new things here, so I just wanted to double check. But we're going to be bringing up our guest Katy here in just a moment. I see currently that we are live within our platforms, but I just want to double check. Katy, I'm going to bring you on as well so you can introduce yourself. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to double check some of our connections to some of the platforms that I have set forth. So ladies and gentlemen, while we're doing this, please give a warm welcome to Katy Suik. I keep trying to remember, am I pronouncing the name correctly? Because I'm always in my brain and thinking. Okay. So
I actually love how you say it. It's got a nice ring to it. Suik. It's awesome.
Right? Yes, go big or go bold. So I'm going to give you the floor here in just a second to just kind of take a few minutes to let people know who you are, what you're about, your company, and everything like that. And then I'm going to check my streaming platforms to ensure that they're connecting properly. So the floor is now
Sounds good.
yours.
Hi, everybody. Such an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you, Lion. We have just met. We met in the fall of last year. I'm a certified professional coach of 15 years. And more recently, especially in the last few months, I realized that what I love to do is really support people, businesses, in generating high quality leads in a way that feels authentic instead of chasing them. So my evolution as an entrepreneur has allowed me to get to this place where I can use all the experiences. And when I say experiences, I mean all of the mistakes that I made. There's plenty of those going around. And I can now really equip people and support them on a journey to help them host virtual events. But not only that, I think the power of collaboration is just as important. And so I really support and coach people with that as well. So when I'm not working, I'm a mom to three. I have teens. One is 19, a 17-year-old, and a almost 15-year-old. So I'm in a very different world than I was when I started my business. And I'm married. I have a husband of 20 plus years now. And yeah, I just love being in this online space, meeting people all over the world. We're not limited. And that's probably enough about me. That's me in a nutshell.
That's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Please follow and connect, right? So I am looking here because I want to ensure that we were broadcasting everywhere. And I'm trying this new thing. And this is one of the things that I always tell to anyone who I work with and I look with. I said, hey, don't be perfect. And I think I saw a post recently, maybe yourself or someone said something like that as well. Don't worry about being perfect, right? Just start. People understand there's going to be errors, mistakes, some things that's happened. And so I'm working through one of those currently. So I just checked and we're live in YouTube and in my Facebook group, but not directly on the LinkedIn. And one of the reasons is because I'm trying this new thing that LinkedIn told me to go directly through their LinkedIn Live instead of using my platform that we currently see now. And so I'm trying to learn and adjust it. And it still says host will be starting soon. So I guess it's some third way that I have to do this. But we're going to work through this. So, but thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing.
It's
So,
messy, and mess is where we learn. I love it. Bring it.
yes. And that's one of the things is I think people think too often about perfection, right? That they think if they host an event and they're not perfect, then people won't, people will look at them differently or something like, sure, that's an objective that we want to go to. But I remember a quote by Salvador Dali, and he said, "Have no fear of perfection, you will never reach it." Right? So just let it go. Don't worry about it. So, um, while we're doing this, can you start off by sharing to the audience? I heard you talk about how you were in one space and then you started going to the next one. And so I like to call that it's okay to pivot, right? I think some entrepreneurs
Yeah.
get so set in this mind frame of if I change my direction, or if I change the title of my podcast, for an example, then I failed. And they hold on for so long that they burn themselves out or that they're not passionate about it any longer. Can you kind of talk about that journey of what made you go from one spot? I know you mentioned it, but can you kind of talk about like, hey, I got tired, I got burned out, or whatever it is, to let some listener or some viewer out there know that they're in the correct space?
Thank you for that, Lion. Yes, it has been quite a journey with a lot of pivots. When you first start out as an entrepreneur, I'm sure many of us have felt this where we think, oh, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, build it and they will come. You know, point A to point B, it's a straight, shiny road. And of course, I would be the first to tell you it has been anything but that. I have spun around in many, many, many circles. But the one thing that has stayed true for me through the whole thing is my sense of purpose. I know what I'm good at. I know that I'm here to really help people uncover that purpose and put it to work in a way that creates a very powerful and meaningful impact in the world. That can look very different for people, and I can only serve a small tiny population of the world in the large scheme of things. So I originally started out in the coaching space. I struggled because I didn't understand at the time. You just don't know what you don't know. For me, it was I just want people to find their purpose and be excited about it and feel empowered, and all of those like pie in the sky words that don't actually sell. I mean, I learned the hard way that people didn't necessarily want to invest in something that wasn't tangible. And it took a long time and a lot of like hitting brick walls to recognize that they needed something that they could measure at the end of the day. So instead of focusing on the coaching element, which I still do, it's just part of who I am and it's how I support people, let's focus on the tangible result. That made that shift is because the one thing that worked for me and my business was hosting virtual summits. And that strategy was super effective for me to bring in leads and to actually, you know what it was more than anything else? It was actually sticking to something and seeing it through. We know a lot of entrepreneurs, we struggle with that. But for me, it really allowed me to see something from start to finish. And then I did it 7 times. Now, fast forward today, and virtual summits are something that I still want to continue to do, but in a very different format than I've done up until now. Because up until now, it was a lot of pre recorded trainings or interviews that were available for people to watch. They were released on certain dates. Now I'm way more passionate about creating an experience like what we're doing right now, which is a live component where people get to know, like, and trust you. And in realizing that, and shifting out of this, I was originally just going to focus on helping people do summits, but it didn't excite me because of the nature of it. It is a big beast to take on, and I still love to do it, but only if I can help people have fun with it and do a live component where they can bring their speakers in the room and their audience, because I think we're craving in today's world, especially human connection first and foremost. We want to have fun together, we want to know each other, we want to like each other, and when you know, like, and trust someone, it's a lot easier to do business with them. So now that I have a tangible outcome, it is a lot easier for me to support people with virtual events and collaborations than it was to sell. You can be more confident. And now I am in a place where I can really support them in a way that's meaningful. But the thing is, even if we do a virtual events together, you will still encounter those self-sabotaging behaviors, the perfectionism, the procrastination, all of those things. But we'll tackle those as we move along. So that's really a very Reader's Digest version of 15 years of my journey, crumbled into just a short little synopsis for you, Lion, and to all of you in the room.
Yeah, it's so crazy because as you're saying that, I'm sitting here. Two things happened. It's so funny. Is I did a post earlier today in reference to the like and trust type of mentality and thinking, and then you said
Yep.
the total of the years and so forth. And I jokingly say often to people, I was like, "Well, let me tell you how it took me 16 years to get to become an overnight success." Right? Because they, wow, you blew up, and
Yes.
this, that, the other. And you're like, yeah, but you didn't see those nights that I were twirling my hair and I pulled some strands out, or I um, like one of my favorite lines when Eminem says in one of his songs, he says, "Nope, not good enough. Scribble it out," and then he wrinkles up the paper when he's writing his rhymes and stuff, and he's talking about how he kept trying to find the perfect one, and it's like, hey, let me just do this, right? So that really was kind of interesting on that, and your journey, right? People don't understand. They think that I had an issue with this, where I would say it's not working. Let me try something different. And my coach, and I got a
Mm,
coach, my coach said, no, you got to ride this out. You got to find and tweak and pivot just a little bit and do this. But if you keep changing, people are not going to know that this is what you're good at. It's okay to change and pivot, but not every 2 weeks or not, or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be
So
a little crazy.
yeah, so that to me was very interesting when you say that, and I run into that often when I'm talking to people, and they will say, "Oh, it's not working." I'm like, "Oh, how long have you been trying it?" Man, about 2 weeks now. Okay, you got to give people time to adjust to you. Let me ask you this, because I want to hear your thoughts on this. I'm gonna share what I think, and then I want to hear your thoughts on it. I think that people have come to a place where they're so burned out on seeing reels and the beautiful Canva art, but they don't have the connection, right? So, like you were speaking about the live, they get to talk to people, they get to see and hear your story. I think people are over just seeing or purchasing a product or joining simply because they see a nice Canva, presentation or something like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I love that you asked that question because I could not agree more. What I did notice is when I first did my summits, like back in 2022, if that's correct, the first one I did, I noticed that people were going in and viewing the videos. And the percentage, I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head, but it was noticeably higher. People going in and catching the recordings then, and also upgrading to VIP, which is basically giving you access to all of the recordings permanently. I noticed that over the 7 summits I did, each time it dwindled more and more and more and more. And talking to people who do summits now, I know that that's become the norm. For example, upgrading to VIP used to be at a rate of, if I'm remembering correctly, 6 to 8% of your opt-ins would go into VIP. Now I'm hearing that it's dropped to 3 to 4%, and even that's considered good. Because you're right, Lion, like nobody, let's be real, if we're going to sign up for a summit, it might sound amazing, but we know ourselves enough now to know we don't have the time to go and sit there and watch 30 speakers in 5 days. And even if we do say, well, I'll catch it later and we go buy the VIP pass, how many times have we done that and had access and then forgot all about it and we've never gone back and watched them? So I
Mm.
really am getting away from that and really trying to move into it'll still be an option. I mean, people can still do that if that's their cup of tea, but the focus now is going to be more I want to break down that gap between speakers and audience and create like a playing field where Sally over here really resonates with Lion, and so let's get them talking and connecting because that could be a beautiful business partnership or it could be a great client for you, Lion. So my methodology and my approach is so much more now about human connection because you can't get that watching recordings. I mean, I'd rather go watch Netflix, frankly. I mean, is that what we're providing? Just entertainment? Or do we want to actually cultivate relationships in this online space called entrepreneurship?
Yeah, you have been hitting it so hard, and I've got to say that it to me is absolutely amazing because as I'm listening, and I hope the listeners and the viewers out there are getting this as well. There's a there's a common theme, and it's amazement to me, right? But there's a common theme as you're referencing this that you're talking about people more than the process, more than the what it comes from it, right? You're talking about connection and collaboration and people coming together. And especially right in this moment and from the past of when we were shut down, I think everyone's yearning that. They're yearning that
Yes.
human connection of asking the question. Often when I do lives, I tell people, look, because I get this often. People say, your stuff looks so crazy and amazing and fancy and all this. And I'm like, you don't understand how many times I've messed up doing this presentation. I just don't highlight it as often as I see people do that in their presentations. And I think of presentations as lives as a speaking engagement. As a speaker, I'm not going to go on the stage and say, hey guys, you know what? I wore the wrong shoes today, so it's going to affect my speech, right? You don't do that unless maybe that's part of the speech and you're going to intertwine it. But stop bringing negative attention to your process. Don't worry about being perfect. People kind of enjoy that. And in those mistakes, I want to know from you some of the common mistakes that you may see beginner entrepreneurs who are maybe working to come into the arena that you're in? What are some mistakes that you see that they do, and maybe a couple of ways of avoiding them?
Mm. As ways of avoiding, do you mean like hosting events? Just to clarify, I want to make sure I heard that question
Yeah,
correctly
maybe
because it glitched just a little bit.
they're on a path of wanting to do what you do, and so maybe, or even if it's just a webinar, right? Just something live. What are some things
Yeah,
that you can maybe tell them so that they can avoid and some of those mistakes to follow in your path?
got it. Thanks, Lion. Um, yeah, so it's fascinating to me because you would think hosting an event should be like hosting a party. You just plan the meal, you plan, and away you go. Truth, though, is the biggest mistake that I've made and I've seen people make is that they don't do their due diligence and their homework first. They could attract the wrong people, or they might even host an event that doesn't speak to their people. So, again, we come back to that connection piece, right? You need to understand your ideal clients. You need to know them in a way that they feel like you're talking straight to them. And that's authenticity, that's connection, that's all the things that I think are really important. A lot of people will put on an event. For example, let's say, actually, we'll use an example of mine. I put on an event. One of my first summits was called Unleash Your Superpower. Now, looking back, you start with what you know, right? And I didn't know much, let's be real. However, I started with that, and it was a very generic title. It attracted a lot of people who were big dreamers, but not necessarily action takers. They love the idea of unleashing my superpower. I can do my, whatever I'm good at. I can step into my purpose. I can be this amazing human, and I can da 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 da. But at the end of the day, they were the dreamers. Let's drink some lemonade and dream about unicorns and rainbows. But the reality is that when you are putting on any kind of an event or running a program or anything like that, you need to have a really solid understanding of the kind of people you want to attract. So for me, it's super important that they're purpose driven, meaning that what they do matters to them in a deep and profound way. But also, they need to be action takers. They need to be risk takers. They need to be people who are like, coach me, and I'm happy to get out of my own way. Because in reality, I did spend a lot of time bringing in what we call tire kickers. The wouldn't it be nice if, but not willing to take the risk, not willing to take that big step. So that is a huge mistake I tell people about is know your ideal clients deeply and be sure that your messaging, your positioning, your graphics, your everything is tailored to that person. Because if you don't get that part right, you will attract the wrong people, and I'm telling you, it's exhausting. You don't want the wrong people. It's just it'll suck you dry because you're not fueling up your engine. You're actually
Yeah.
depleting your fuel.
Man, this is hitting it on the head so much. And I see that we have a couple of people joining us and so forth. And I also want to just invite you guys that if you have any questions, do us a favor. If you have questions for Katie, put a Q and a colon and then write your question. That way we can make sure the questions are all separated from the comments and we make sure that we get to your questions. But you were hitting it on the head. And as you were doing this, I'm just sitting back smiling because that was me. And occasionally I still do that. I was, I want to talk to
Totally.
everyone. I want to put it out there. And I got a coach eventually, and I started to hear and listen. So anyone out there who's thinking I can do it all myself, you probably can. It's going to take you a little bit longer. Grab a coach. Katie's sitting there telling you, "Hey, this is her department." Reach out. Say, "Hey, even how can I start? Where to go at?" I was that person that kept doing it and kept going. And my coach would tell me, "Say, listen, you number one, you need to surround yourself with other people who are positive, who are working to do it the way you're doing it, so you can kind of cut through the mistakes and so forth like that." And I was like resistant at first. I don't know. But as over time, I said, yeah, I need to start talking to the right people because it was
Mm,
exhausting. And one of my, she told us to write down five non-negotiables. And one of my non-negotiables was that I was not going to work with anyone who took my piece. I found
mm,
that by me doing my low price, I would have to work harder because the people themselves wouldn't do the work. I'd have to chase them down and stuff. And she said, raise your prices. I was like, no. It's just
Yeah,
people who pay have an investment in themselves,
they
seeing
do.
themselves grow. So they're going to do the work. And you don't have to chase them down and work as hard and burn yourself out. So, man, when you were saying that, I was like, yep, I went through that. I that happened to me. So uh, now
Totally.
people are listening to this and hearing this. So now let's jump into this because we're going to get ready to wrap this up fairly soon. um what are some
Yeah.
strategies, right? Someone is watching this right now. We've got about 10 people watching this right now, and one of those 10, or even someone who's going to watch this on a replay, they're going to say to themselves, I can see the value in hosting an event, but where do I start? I want to bring people into my ecosphere and maybe share my product. What are some, let's start with two things first. Strategies, and then visibility. Let's
Mm,
see if you can maybe share a few strategies to invite them into your ecosphere to maybe learn more from you.
yeah.
And then let's jump into some tips for visibility.
Sounds good. Okay, so strategy wise, really you want to start with the foundation, right? That's where who is my ideal client? What is the problem I solve? What is the outcome of my X, program or whatever? And then whatever event you host, I typically narrow it down to four. There's the workshop style, which is what I love to do because it's hands on and I can interact with people. The master class, which positions you as an expert where you're teaching something and it typically shows a gap in what they need in order to achieve said thing, so then it would lead to a sales call. The other one is so master classes, workshops, challenges. Of course, we all know there's challenges. Challenges are great as well. It just depends on the content of which event you would go for. And the fourth one is kind of a separate category of its own, and that's virtual summits. Strategy wise, starting with the foundations of what do my ideal clients or customers need, even so much as planning the event. So, for example, if I am working with busy entrepreneurs online who have limited time, I'm not going to take them through a 5 day challenge where every day for an hour we're going to go through something. It's too much. That's my ideal client profile. So instead, an hour and a half workshop is sufficient. And your client could be different. It could be someone like my friend Erin who helps ADHD mompreneurs. She might do a challenge where she does 30 minutes a day for 3 days, just really broken up. So everything from the logistics of what you do and the title and the tagline and the description, like all of those elements need to be designed in such a way that you're speaking straight to that ideal client, which takes us back to what I was talking about with Lion before, which is number one, make sure you're so clear on that. Make sure you have a clear offer, you know exactly what you're selling, and you believe in it 500%, and make sure that your messaging is on point. Those are really important. Now, that being said, I have to throw this little caveat in there, and Lion, I'm sure you're nodding. Um, you can have it even to 80% good enough. You still need to push yourself to do the thing. So don't get so caught up in your message either that you never go and do the thing because you have to go back and tweak it 552 times, which was me. Move into action. But I would just say that at least if you have most of it down, your event can also help you get the clarification you need. Just throwing that in there. And then there's different stages of getting your foundation down, getting your title down, getting your promotion figured out, and then hosting the event.
It's like you're just giving the key to the city away and just like dropping all that knowledge to everyone, right? So, and this is a beautiful part about, I think, what we do, and what I think some people really should take some moments to understand is that you can have all of this information. You can go to YouTube University, you can go to Google and learn all of this stuff here, but you're going to get to a point when you get to run the event and you're going to like freeze. Like, what? I don't know where to get this. This is where you
Totally.
come into play, right? That you need that coach. You need someone to say, "Hey, come into my program, come into my ecosphere. And I know that you're doing I don't know if it's still in the beta phase, but you're doing some form of like a class or something. Can you touch on that to
Yeah.
invite people into that world? Who is it for?
Yes.
And what are they going to gain from it when you're done?
Yes. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share that. So, I do have a program called the Virtual Events Accelerator. And yes, as Lion mentioned, it is in its beta phase right now. It's an 8 week program. I'm keeping it short and sweet to make sure that we deliver those important steps week by week by week, right? The beauty of this beta program is that you will be guided with literally worksheets and my coaching and support and a group that'll be walking alongside you to walk through those pieces together. So you're not doing it alone because yeah, you're right. You could do it alone. I did it alone for 12 years, you guys. And I yeah, I would not recommend it. Um, the by the end of the 8 weeks, part of the deal is you get to host. In fact, it's part of joining the program is you have to host your own event, whether it's a workshop, masterclass, challenge, whatever. We'll support you in getting that off the ground, but we want you to have that tangible outcome at the end. Now, why is that beneficial? Honestly, virtual events in my mind and collaborations are the number one reason, or not number one reason, number one strategy, I believe, to attract high quality leads, to get your name out there, to create that exposure, to build the opportunity for people to know, like, and trust you. There's just no better way to bring people into your world than to do this. So, this beta program is available right now until the middle of February. I am taking on another group. Still at 50% off because it's a beta. And what that means really is you're getting all the goods. I've already started one group in the beta program, and this will be a second group. So really, you're getting it even better than the first group because I've ran it through at least once. But I do want to do a second round, and normally this goes for 4K US dollars, but I'm doing it for 2K, and we start in February. So if that's something that interests you, I think the best thing to do would be to email me because then we can just have that conversation. So it's Katy at katysuik.com. Now make sure you spell that Katy. That's the proper way to spell Katy, just saying. And my last name is spelled Suik. So make sure you do that. So Katy at katysuik.com.
Yes, and definitely get in touch. And this is, again, people, the power of this. You have an opportunity to reach out to someone that can show you some ways to cut down some of the mistakes, some of the errors, the strategies they use that they know have that work because they've done it.
Yes.
They've made some mistakes, kind of like she said, in the beta program and so forth. And or you can keep knocking your head against the wall and saying, "Oh, no one's showing up," or I don't know where to start. I don't know, how to kind of do this funnel, the web, whatever it is. But you got to make the decision. You got to
You
say,
do.
"I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." And as Katie just said, and I can attest to it, and I saw the vision when I first went into this with my coach. I look at it also being one of the barriers of not having so much overhead, right? You have the
Yeah.
opportunity to increase your workflow, your money flow, because you're bringing the people who are interested in your product to you, speaking to them for whatever length of time, an hour, 2 days, whatever it is, and then potentially working to bring them into your ecosphere, into your products, which you have a better chance of doing than just simply trying to sell off of an ad or sell off of. Those still
You're
work. Please
right.
don't get me wrong; they still work, but you have a better chance
You
because
do.
okay, let me give you an example. So I did a event this weekend, the 23rd through the 25th, Thursday through Saturday, and I
Mhm.
follow my coach's kind of strategy. I do mine for 3 days. I do challenges and so forth, but I run my main one for 3 days. My coach says that we should not run an event unless we already have 300 registrants. Now, keep in mind, they're at a different level. So
Yeah,
their
that's true.
coaching programs are from $15 to $30,000. Yes. So I went through the process of putting everything out, getting people in. I only had about 65 registrants that registered. And through the 3 days, 47 showed. Okay. I could have said, well, they told me 300 people and don't do anything less. but those 60 some odd people who registered, 40 people that showed up, wouldn't have gotten the information that I was teaching them. I said, I'm still
Exactly.
going to go and do it, learn, work through my mistakes. And it was so good. I did a video the other day, just kind of decompressing, saying how motivating it was and so forth. But also, you start to think about those 47 people, well, actually 65 paid, only 47 showed up. So no matter what happened, I still got paid for 65 people plus the people in the program that purchased. Honestly, no one purchased my high ticket offer, but I did have people then join my monthly membership that is a subscription base. So in the long run,
Mm.
I still earned enough money by I didn't run ads, so I didn't have that expense. I didn't, you know, have a. So, anyways, my what I'm telling y'all who are listening to this is contact the 80s so you can learn some of those steps, some of those procedures. And I'm going to show you something I just created earlier today, and I want you to look at this because I was like, should I post this? And I'm going to, knowing me. So I said, this is how it looks and sounds for people who try to run their events without trying to grab a coach or something like that. And so I said, this is how it looks and sounds events without trying to grab a coach or something like that. And so I said, this is how it
I'm done.
looks and sounds
Cut the
events
show.
without
I'm
trying
done.
to grab a coach
Take
or
me
something like
off.
that. And so
Mm,
I said,
Take me
this is
off.
how it
Cut the show.
looks and sounds
I'm
Can
done.
you make
Cut
that
the show.
commitment for him?
I'm done.
okay.
That's awesome. It's so true. I think I've been that guy probably a bajillion times.
Yes, yes, right. It's like, I'm done. Cut it. Yeah, because people don't
Done.
understand that. Yes, they see the final production, but they don't see the work that went into it. And it's not just as simple
Right?
as. And I'm not saying this to scare anyone off. I want you to run events. Katie wants you to run events. We want you to speak to us in whatever form you need. But it's not as simple as you see someone who else is doing it that makes it, right? My coach, when I went to
Totally.
their event, when I first signed up, and matter of fact, I'm going to show you. This is one of the things. I'm gonna grab the book because I still have it. That I did when I first signed up. I'm a person. My wife will tell you this. We will walk into a store, and I'm looking in a business aspect. I'm like, you see how many people are in here? You see the cover charge that they charge them? You know how much money that is, right? So I'm looking in their event and I'm seeing 600 plus people in their Zoom event. Now keep in mind, they're big time, right? They spend 10,000 a month to run ads and so forth, right? But I'm thinking, I'm like, 600 people, even at the early bird special at $47 a pop. So even if they don't sell
Mm.
any of their high ticket offers, which they did because I was one of the people that joined, so I know they sold it. so
Yeah, yeah.
and so, oh man, um, but we had this workbook, okay, and in this workbook we had to write down. Um, let's see, where is it? We had to write down a date, kind of like you were saying. The people who join your program, you're going to have them work through something. So we had to write down a date, and I wrote down October the 12th of 24. Okay, and so
Mm.
I took the class, I think back in like March or something like that. What time frame? Sometime earlier in the year, roughly March or February, because they're doing another one in February. And so they do theirs every 6 to 8 weeks, and that's the same pattern I follow. So, anyways, so from roughly March time frame, I wrote down I'm going to do an event October the 12th. I'm going to take months to learn, or whatever. But I made a decision. I was a go getter. I was an action taker. And I did smaller ones in between, but I was like, I'm gonna do my big because in my brain, I'm thinking I'm gonna have 600 people too, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna have little small ones. It didn't work that way, people, but I didn't give up, and now it's still progressing and learning and getting better. So you told everyone how to reach you. We're gonna get ready to wrap this up. You told people some of the things that they can learn through your beta program. I'm going to be the person to tell you if you're listening to this, go reach out, even if it's just to have a conversation of
Totally.
seeing some ways um, that this can work for you, right? Don't sit
Yeah.
on the sideline. What are some thoughts? What are some words you maybe want to share to someone who is sitting there saying, you know what, I hear her and I want to talk to her, but I'm still a little afraid. What are some, things you can share to them?
Hmm. I like to speak from the heart. And what I would say, honestly and truly, is that for a good 12 years of business for me, I was waiting. I was waiting until I'd get that big break or, the waterfall would open and in comes the flood of money and people. And the problem with that kind of thinking is I kept doing only what I knew how to do at the time. I didn't reach out because I was too broke or I didn't have the time or what have you. And I created this perpetual cycle of lack and scarcity and an inability to get off the runway because of it. So, what I would say is that is more painful. The pain of not generating revenue. And by the way, in 2020, when I finally jumped off the cliff and was like, that's enough, Katy, you need to make some investments here, even though I had nothing to show for it. At that point, my business and my life changed because I got out of an old cycle of lone wolfing, let's be real. And also, how can I possibly know the right next step if I'm just guessing all the time? And so when I made that move, I really empowered myself. And I had to learn to trust myself, trust God, trust whatever your thing is, to basically grow wings on the way down. And that I did. I hit the side a few times. It wasn't always pretty, but the value of investing in time and money into something that will transform your life and your business is just, there's no number you could even put on that. But to give you perspective, I not only lost potential revenue over those 12 years. If I was wanting to make 6K a year and you do the math, that's 12 times 6K. That's like in the millions, I think. I don't even know. I don't do math. But also, not only did I lose potential revenue, I also ended up creating $85,000 of debt in 2020 and up till now because I had to make up for the fact that all those years of inactivity paralyzed me. It diminished my confidence. It made me feel like I've just maybe there's something wrong with me. And as long as we stay in that place, we just cripple ourselves. And so, what's the greater cross? What's the greater cost? You know, being inactive, not doing anything, hoping for a better tomorrow, or taking meaningful action and trusting yourself that you will find a way through and be more successful. That would be my little speech.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And coming from the heart is true. There is a cost to inactivity. I say it, I don't say it as elegant as you do because I'm a devil dog and Marine. I tell people you can keep waiting and 26 will come and you'll be saying the same thing you said last year, right? I want to do
Totally.
something different. So the last thing we're going to do and we're going to wrap around and wrap it up. And I see some people there. Hey, Neil, how's it going? I saw a couple people on LinkedIn asked, maybe made a couple of statements, and we'll put those out there. And this will also be replayed on LinkedIn as well, and on their my YouTube as well. And then maybe Katie can post it where she wants. But thoughts to ponder, putting heart back in business. So when she said she spoke from the heart and she speaks from the heart, look at this, right? It's truly coming from it. And I don't think that if you have a conversation, one of the things that I got, because I was in one of Katie's summits and another associate, Matt, who will be on her, she's actually doing her own, what would you, I don't know if it's called a podcast on your YouTube. She's starting one of those and,
I
bringing
started
people
one
in.
today.
Today,
Yeah.
oh, look at that. See there. So, ladies and gentlemen, jump. What's your YouTube page? We'll have it in the show notes as well. But what is that?
It is actually right now. It's called the Collaboration Chronicles from Coffee Chats to Cash Flow. And that's where I really dive in with people. Lion will be one of my people at some point to talk about collaborations and how powerful they are, building that beautiful network and putting heart back in business, like people to people. So it launches today. If you go over and you look at YouTube for my name, Katy Suik, you will see that it is live. It was live as of 41 minutes ago.
Yes, yes. Look at that. And I'm gonna tell you a funny thing that happened just a second ago, and I'm gonna share that. But, um, ladies and gentlemen, it is absolute truth. Just because you meet with someone doesn't mean you have to sign up for the course, whatever it is. But you're gonna find out information that says, "Oh, I didn't know that." Yep, I think I need to be with you. I need to learn from you, and so forth. And also in a collaborative format, like Katie and I pretty much do similar or the same things in a little different ways. And I'm not afraid to still highlight her and tell people about it. People are going to work to whoever they gravitate towards. I'm not afraid to say, I'm going to keep everything to myself because
Right.
heed these words. I heard this a while ago, and I'm gonna share it with you. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a solopreneur, if you're working to build your business, whatever it is, heed these words. It is lonely at the top. It is lonelier at the laptop. If you try to do this by yourself, 6 months from now, you're going to be doing something different. You're going to be burned out. You're not going to have the fun, the passion, whatever it is to be able to do it. So make sure you get with someone to assist you out. Reach out and just say, Katie, I want to have a conversation with you to see if this is even the right direction for me to go to do.
Yeah.
And a live event is the right direction if you have a product based business or a service based because you're speaking one to many. So let me get to wrap this up, but I'm going to tell you a funny thing that just happened. Okay, so as we're speaking, I have my in-ear monitors in. Okay, so that way I can monitor the sound, make sure everything's coming in correctly. And so I I rolled my chair back to get that book out of my drawer. Okay, that I showed a second ago with the dates on it. As I'm doing that, my I have wheels on my chair. My wheels caught the wire for the monitor. So
Oh,
as I'm rolling back, it's like it's pulling my head down, and I'm trying to I'm on live TV, if you will. So I'm trying to unlatch it from the wheel without really, you know, going crazy so people see me, and it's not working. So I just took them out. I was like, we're at the end of the show, so I just took them out. Ladies and gentlemen, live happens, right? Live
uh,
happens. Things are going to happen. It's you just have to roll with it. Perfection. People want
exactly.
humanity. They want to know, like, oh yeah, he does mess up. She does mess up. They press the wrong button, or they put the wrong slide up, or just have
Totally.
fun. They're going to enjoy it. So, all right. So we're going to go ahead and
Yes.
close this out. Katie, thank you so much for being a part
Thank
of this
you.
here. We're going to make sure we have all of your links, your information, your YouTube channel, all of that inside of the comment section, all of those things. So I sincerely appreciate it. And I just want you to hang around for 5 seconds
Thank
as
you.
I close the show out and then come back and then just talk to you, okay? Just hang for me for one
Sounds
second.
good.
So all of
Thank you,
those things. So I
everybody.
sincerely appreciate yes, it. Yes, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for being a part of the show today, coming to listen to the journey of Katie, everything that she's doing. If you are looking to hold live events, it does not matter if it's a big thing. It could be virtual summits, presentations, webinar. Reach out to her, grab her information. It's going to be inside the show notes in the chat. And make sure you take a moment to really think about it. It's 2-5. It's time for us to thrive and do something different if we want something more, right? I'm inviting you to think outside of the box. And my mission, as always, is to simply change how the way the world watches you virtually. Hey, thanks for joining us and allowing me virtual space, Line Flood, VCA Academy. And again, I work to show you the art, because it is an art, the art of going live. Space, Line Flood, VCA Academy.